All right, so this is all dry. So I'm just going to remove the tape. And just like the overflow, these are now a part of the tank. So let's give this a shot. See how well it fits. And it fits well. It's really snug too. So as you can see, when the water comes up over the overflow, it has somewhere to go. So the only thing I have to do now is spray paint this black and mount some pieces of ABS plastic underneath like we did for the sump, and that should be ready. You can see how well it fits in there. It just slides in. This needs another coat, as well as the overflow cover. And with this piece dry, fits right in that groove. Looks pretty good to me. And so the next thing I'm working on is, when I got this tank, I looked at these corners, and there just is not a whole bunch of caulk here. I need at least like a 1/2 inch. There's going to be so much flow in here, it's going to be ridiculous. So what I'm doing now is I'm just cleaning up the corners. I've already used rubbing alcohol so the caulk can stick better. So I'm just cleaning the corners, making sure I got all the grits and nasty stuff that I left behind when I was cutting wood out of the way. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape these up like I did the overflow and like I did the sump, and then lay a nice thick bead of caulk on all 3 sides of this aquarium. So the next thing I did is I just took some scrap ABS plastic, and as you can see, I just cut the corner off. And what this is going to allow me to do is see that corner. If I put the piece of ABS against the glass, it creates that little notch. And then when I scoop up, it'll make a perfect line with the caulk. And all 3 corners are now finished. Left a nice bead there, a nice line. And while the caulk is drying on the 3 corners, I'm working on the spacer that goes between the overflow exit and the top of the cabinet. So right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill the bracket into place, like so. And then I'm going to screw it on. And now I know where to mount that on the top side of the cabinet top. And with the top sheet of wood unassembled, now I got my measurements. So this is going to sit like that. And now all I have to do is just drill out those 2 holes. And then with the piece flipped over, all I'm going to do now is just countersink those holes. And with the screws screwed in from the other side, that piece is done. Nice and countersunk, so they won't pop through and hit the bottom of the aquarium. And now that's mounted. And while I was at it, I just gave it another coat of that rust brown hammered color to the sides. And while I was at it, I drilled a hole in the top of the light bar so that from underneath I can adjust the light sensitivity. So now I'll just glue that in place, and then you'll see that. And now with the tank installed on top of the cabinet, the bottom is now done. I spray painted it, mounted that, and then when that's dry, I'm gonna start mounting some of this plumbing. And what I did earlier is I didn't show this. I didn't think it was that important, but the white paint was really easy to just peel off. And I left this opening because I want to spray paint this black. So I can't tell if this is dry or if this is frozen, but either way, this looks pretty good. Yeah, it came out well in all the areas in the tank where I put the caulk on. It might be frozen because it is rock hard. And the back glass is done with the black spray paint. It's almost translucent, like you can see through it. It almost looks like it's tinted. Wow. I almost forgot about the back. So these are dry, and it's about 51 degrees outside already. Can't believe it. This was all just snow, like yesterday. So now that the temperature has risen, I can definitely tell you that these seals are not frozen. They are just rock hard, which is really good. This tank's going to be really strong now that the caulk is on all four corners. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this upside down and then paint the overflow black. So now I'll just wait for that to dry, take the tape off, and I think the bottom of the tank is going to be finished. And I know some of you were asking why I taped off this circle on the bottom of the tank, and this is why. When the overflow comes through the hole, that's going to screw in place. And just from doing that, it's going to make a tighter fit because I'm not screwing against the spray paint. So today I am working on the front fascia, and I think I'm just going to start calling them doors or panels. So I've got one cut out already, and originally I was going to take the door up to here, but it didn't look right. Wow, it's sort of windy today. And it didn't look right. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to that line right below the aquarium, right here. And I'm actually going to raise these up a bit because I don't want these touching the ground, because if this is on carpet, it's actually going to push the door up a little bit. So that's why these are going to be up maybe 1/8 of an inch. And I already have the wood. I just got back from Home Depot not too long ago. It's over here, so what I'm gonna do is start cutting that to length and assembling it all. And so now that I have both doors cut, what I need to do is take the door off, and then behind the door, there's an opening right here. So what I need to do is take this size wood and make a frame this big on the back side of this panel. So the best way that I've come up with is get your door in place exactly where you want it, like exactly where you want it. Flush with the corners, flush with the top, and flush with the other door. And then come on the back side with a pen and draw that line out. And now with the door measured out, what I need to do next is cut this wood to match up with this line, that line, and that line. And now with all the wood cut out, and now we have our frame that will go on the back of the door. Now why I'm doing this is, it's first of all, it's going to give support. This side has a 1/2 inch gap. This is where the other door is going to be. So I just allowed a 1/2 inch gap. And down here is about an 1/8 inch, or a little bit more than an 1/8 inch of a gap. And that just continues all the way up to the top where there's still an 1/8 inch gap. So if there is anything, like I know that when you paint something, it does add a few layers. I'm just taking that into consideration. If I do paint this, it's actually going to build layers. So this will be the bottom of the aquarium. And that's where that 2x4 is. So everything should line up pretty good. So the next thing I'm going to do is take my liquid nails, apply that to the back of the door, and then put the wood on that and put some weight on this so it'll sandwich it to the door, and let that dry and go from there. And so now that my panels are ready, the next thing I'm going to do is just caulk these into place. And then once I'm satisfied with the placement, I just put some weight on it. And then move on to the next door. And as you can see, I didn't use anything special to weigh it all down. Battery, center blocks, some paint, some bricks, and some whatever that is. Nothing special. So we'll let this dry for probably a day and then come back out, take all the weights off and make sure everything lines up, and then start painting. So I am super excited to see how these turned out. It's been a full day of drying. And now that the caulk's dry, these are how the doors came out. So the caulk is extremely dry. Liquid Nails does a really good job of bonding pretty much anything together. And now that the wood is in place and caulked, these things are like super strong. I can't even bend it. The only part that I can bend is right at this notch here. As you can see, that's where the weakness is. So when I'm done test fitting these on the cabinet, I'm just going to apply caulk in here and caulk all around these edges on the inside, not the outside, because when we did our measurements, this line will match up with this line will match up with this line, and I'll show you that in a second. So as we put the door on all the way against the ground and push the door into place, when the magnets are super glued into place, this will just snap on and stay. So then when we line up this with the edges, this is what it looks like on the inside. And as you can see, that piece of wood is almost on that piece of wood, and that wood is firmly up against that piece of wood. Now when we put both of the doors in place, these will just line up together like that and almost create a seamless line. Once the magnets are in place, it'll actually suck the wood to the 2x4. I mean, the line will be visible, but not by much. So that's what it'll look like. And taking them off is just simply doing that once the magnets are installed. So instead of caulking this area right here where it's flexible, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take some MDF wood and cut out almost what's going to look like an arrow, and then drill those into place, and that should create a much stronger contact between these two pieces of wood. Once there's a piece of wood screwed here, there's not going to be any flex. So what I've been working on here is, it's a 3" by 3" piece, and I'm going to mount that here, and then I'm going to cut out an area which is going to look like that. Not use this, but use this L piece here. So I'm just going to cut the wood out and screw those into place. And hopefully we can paint this today. Something like that. And after one done, this is the finished product. So 3 screws. This thing does not bend at all anymore. So I'm just going to continue that process 3 more times for this piece, and then 4 more times for the other piece. Alright, so I got the 4 pieces in, and one reason why I went with such a large piece of wood is I'm using these screws. Now, of course, I could have got smaller, but again, I didn't want to make another Home Depot trip today. It's already been twice. So this is why. As you can see, when this screw is screwed in, it doesn't go through this piece. So when I do flip this piece over, there's no screws at all visible. Nothing came through. And this piece is very strong. We're ready to go on. Test fit. Perfect. This is now one absolutely solid piece of wood. So the only thing I'm going to do now is, just like I said, caulk these seams. And then this one's done. And it doesn't weigh much at all. I'd say, like, I mean, I'm really bad at this, but like, I mean, it's not even a pound. It's light. And I know it's going to be really durable, and it's flush. So I'm happy with that. I really do hope you are enjoying the videos. And if you are, please like, subscribe, and ring that bell to receive notifications on new videos. It's completely free and a great way to support the channel.